Is this true about Bayley? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and whether or not it's right or wrong, because my name is Andrew Ravens, and I have been covering the world of pro wrestling for over a decade for some of the biggest pro wrestling websites out there, and I've seen a lot, and especially when it comes to women's wrestling as well as Bayley's career. Whether she has been a babyface or a heel, whether it's been on the main roster or NXT, Bayley has always been a core staple of WWE and of its women's division. She and Monet and Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair have been core elements to the evolution, really goes back to the revolution, the evolution, and the golden age of women's wrestling. Without those four core women, I don't think we get what we get today. And Bayley is someone that I've always thought was very, very interesting in regards to she's always been someone that fans are emotionally involved with. They have this emotional connection with Bayley, like not a lot of people that I've seen, especially when it comes to women's wrestling, right? Women's wrestling, somewhat of a niche, somewhat of a smaller fan base, but a very passionate, emotional, supportive, vocal fan base. That really sums up Bayley in a lot of ways, whether it be when she was a babyface in NXT as this lovable babyface, somewhat teenage-esque character, whether it be on the main roster where she was floundering, seeing the writing on the wall, deciding to go heel, change up her character completely, give her more self of a darker, edgier character, whether it be what she did by bringing back and forming Damage Control, right? She brought back Io Sky, and she brought back Dakota Kai. Kai had been released by the company. Io Sky was on her way out of the company. Bringing back Kairi Sane, reinventing and giving new life into Asuka as part of Damage Control. You know, she's talked about in recent interviews about how Damage Control, I believe it was Inside the Ropes, maybe it was another media outlet, while over in Scotland for Clash at the Castle, Bayley was talking about, well, how much creative control did you have in Damage Control? And she said that they had a lot of input because for her, the Damage Control faction, those involved, it was her baby. And so she wanted to take care of it and wanted to see it prosper and to see it evolve in the direction and the vision that she had. Bayley has always been used in a very good way, whether it be under Triple H's leadership, whether it be under Vince McMahon's leadership. So that leads us to today's topic, because while over in Scotland and speaking with PW Insider, Piper Niven, who actually fell short to Bayley at Clash at the Castle when the Women's Championship was on the line, she talked about her thoughts on Bayley going into Clash at the Castle. Now, obviously, we know Piper lost, but still. And I'll get to why I did not like the end of that match and the finish in a moment. But this is what Piper Niven had to say about Bayley. She said, I have a huge amount of respect for Bayley. I think she's incredibly talented. I think she brings out the best in her opponents. I really think that is something that should be respected, not just as a fan, but as a fellow performer. And you really admire the people that work like that. And another performer like that comes to mind, Shawn Michaels. So I really do have a respect for her. With that in mind, I try and keep that respect in my mind when I'm drilling her in the head and drilling her head into the mat and taking the belt off of her. Okay, so that leads us to today's topic. Is Bayley the female version of Shawn Michaels? Work rate, character, classic matches, it's a discussion. It really is. What I think Piper gets at, what I think today's topic is about, what I actually agree with, her bringing the best out in her opponents. I 100% agree with that sentiment. I'm not saying that Shawn Michaels is no lesser than what people remember him as being. And I'm not saying that Bayley is the in-ring worker or the promo or the overall character that is Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is an all-time great. Now, I think Bayley has the potential to go down as an all-time great, but I'm not going to put her in that category just yet. Do I agree with Piper saying that she brings out the best in her opponents? That'd be Bayley. I would agree with that. More or less in the psychology of matches, not necessarily promos, I think Bayley carries a lot of promo segments because she is so forceful with her promo delivery that I think it can sometimes take away from her opponent's delivery. When it comes to in-ring action, she may not have 5-star matches like Shawn Michaels did, but the psychology behind everything, the layout of the matches, the flow of the matches, just psychology-wise, I think Bayley is very underrated. And I think a lot of people would agree that Shawn Michaels has one of the best minds for the industry. One of the reasons that he is currently running NXT Creative. So I would agree in that sentiment. I think that Shawn Michaels he's doing wonders in NXT right now. If you look at the creative that they are doing, they went from the let's sign all these indie talent and ROH and New Japan and XTNA guys to we're getting our butt whooped by AEW, so we're not going to have that style and that product anymore. They went and tried to do this NXT 2.0 thing that no one thought was actually going to work when they first started, and now we're finally in a sweet spot and at a time where the brand hasn't been hotter in recent years, where we have this hybrid between NXT 2.0 and the old black and gold brand, where you still have great wrestling, but it is also still character-driven. I think in that regard, I think they're in a very good spot. What I didn't like about the Piper Niven Bayley match, at the Clash at the Castle PLE was I did not like the finish because they tried to keep Piper strong, but it was flat either way. And I thought they had an easy out. You could still do the finish that you did because everyone and their dog knew that A, that was going to be a flat finish, and B, and more importantly, that Bayley was going to win. No one expected in their right mind for Piper Niven to defeat Bayley and win the championship that night. But I thought they had an easy out where you could simply have Piper Niven attack and lay out Bayley after the match. That way Bayley retains her title, but Piper keeps her heat because now it's like, well, Piper was just on the card because she's from there and they needed someone for Bayley to beat. And that's fine if you look at it from that point of view on paper, but in storyline, sometimes you need a little bit more than just that, right? Sometimes you need a little bit more than just meat and potatoes. Sometimes you need some vegetables or dessert, right? And I thought that they could have done a little bit more to go out of their way and help old Piper Niven out, but in the end, they didn't do so. But we'll see what they do going forward. Let me know down in the comments area below. What do you think of Piper Niven's hot take? And I will see y'all in the next video.